Okay, good evening all. Welcome to the BATC QO-100 net. Just having a quick read of the chat there. First of all, thanks to Martin G at KOE, who is doing the streaming tonight. Great to see that going out all right. And so far looked to have 5 or 6 people on with us. Parish notices, the only one I have at the moment is, don't forget, it's an all band activity weekend this weekend, so please put something on the forum telling other people what activity you're going to do this weekend, and let's get out and keep the bands active. Right, let's put it straight round to John G7JTT while Mike sorts out his H264 problems, and then we'll go from there. G7JTT and the net, G8GKQ.
Right, okay, that was rather bizarre. The buffer from the port stand that I'm using to receive, I see you switch off, but you were still talking for a good few seconds afterwards. So apologies for the gap there. Right, first off, I apologise profusely for the lack of signal. I still haven't done anything about that. Secondly, there is lots of fan noise, which I apologise for as well. And thirdly, if this thing goes wrong, I should explain why. I am currently running PC-less. So, I am transmitting with a Raspberry Pi 4 in that grab-and-go kit thing that I've built, and receiving on my old Raspberry Pi 3, the one I built into sort of like a little laptop type thing. So the receives there, the transmits there. So the setup at this end, as I say, it's the Raspberry Pi 4, Lime SDR. It's got the mini tuner in there as well. 7-inch screen. You've got there Raspberry Pi camera in the lid as well, and yeah, I'm quite pleased. It's probably its first proper outing, to be honest. Had one slight issue. It's too small a box. I know that, but anyway, it all got in now. And the reason it's taken so long is because of this. I have been waiting for that for over 2 weeks. In the end, I got fed up waiting for it and ordered another one. And when it finally did turn up, the guy's telling me to check this, check everything else. Of course, I can check because I work for the company that supplied it, delivered it rather. I checked, he didn't send it until the Friday when I opened up a case against him. So anyway, that's it all there. So hopefully that's working. I really pray this thing carries on working for a bit longer. The weekend, my plans are to hopefully take 23 sems with me. Now, because of the job I do at the moment, I never really know where I am, what I'm doing, what hours or anything else. All I do know is in the last few days things have picked up immensely. So my plan will be to hopefully operate somewhere within the forest, that's the New Forest, on one of the high spots that I've discovered. Now, how well that's going to work, I don't know, but I can only but try. So I will be active. You may see me with gloves and face masks and everything else on. Just ignore all that. I'll be sanitising everything afterwards anyway, so that's that. Right, with that, I should pass it around to somebody else, and maybe someone can just report and just say this thing's actually working. I've not seen nothing up on the chat to say it isn't, so hopefully that's the case. Right, with this.
Right, that's a good sound. I can hear the clunk of the switch. Brilliant. Right, let's bring the camera on. Yeah, good evening everybody. Another week goes by. Seems to pass so quickly, and not a lot gets done. So, topics this week. Portable for the weekend, so I plan on being out at some point, but whether I'll be in a good position to work any of you guys down to the south, probably not. At the preliminary outing, I'm probably going to be in a position that is good towards the southeast, round to north through east. But you never know. If there's some good conditions, I may be out on the Sunday as well, possibly. But I think at the moment it's looking like Saturday afternoon is going to be the kind of local play around with the high frequency bands and things. So that's it there. Yep, working perfectly, John. No problem at all with your signal this time. Lip sync was perfect. No problems whatsoever. We did cut off a little bit early before you finished talking, I think. But we know how easy that is to do. So I've been playing around with a few things. Right, where did I put pictures? So yeah, I've got this mount on the top of the van, and it's mounted between the roof bars. There's two arms come off the side, and then there's a bit of tube, 1.5-inch tube that's kind of aluminium brazed as such. You get the aluminium rods and a blowtorch and weld that on, but it's only 1.5 inches, so basically I'm making a 2-inch tube that comes off it. It's kind of like a standard size for putting whatever on top of the van. It'll be a bit stronger as well, because with that it tends to twist a little bit. So milled out a couple of blocks of aluminium there, and I'm going to hopefully weld them onto the other section there. Well, onto the tube. Not sure whether I'm going to weld them onto the other bit. They may just be bolted in, but a little bit of upgrade there. Hopefully then I'll be able to fit the dish to that 2-inch tube and have it resting on top of the van as a permanent fixture, so I don't have to fit it on top of the roof every time I want to go portable. So that should be pretty good. So playing around with that. We don't want that video. Come back. Done some tests on 122 gigs. I'll maybe talk about that after. Managed to get some signals across 10 kilometers, which worked pretty well. All I was using at one end was just the bare transmitter board with the tiny little chaparral feed on, which you can see there, which probably won't focus. Just that little feed there, so that 2mm hole was radiating the signal, and it was being picked up 10 kilometers away, so quite impressed with that. I was using a 35cm dish at the receiving end, but still was really impressed on how easy it was to pick a signal up at that distance. So looks very promising for future tests. Right. Okay, it's around the gym, I think. Okay, problem with the streamer. Okay. Must be my signal. Right, round to gym, G0 DQH to take it M0 DTS.
Yes, good evening everyone. Just check that I've got sound, yes. Turn that down. And wait till my picture comes in, there we go. With all the issues I've had just recently, I think I might have found the culprit. It was actually the LNB. And believe it or not, today, I wrapped it in aluminium foil, and it actually works. And I'm getting around 7 dB back from the satellite, which is quite good. It certainly wasn't that before. And this is the 4-output LMB, and all I did was actually wrap silver foil all the way around there, and it actually works. I've actually bought a goubet which I've received today by post, and so that will hopefully fit in there eventually. And got another photo as well. And the other thing I bought from another radio amateur was a 3.2 gig low pass filter, and you can actually, that's the blue one there on the right hand side, and that improved it as well. I've got another one coming from Israel, and I've actually put that on the web tonight on the web page, so if anybody's interested, it's a bandpass filter, 30 quid from Israel, in case anybody's interested in wanting one of those. So the problems have almost disappeared, and I'm quite pleased about that. The new PA is working extremely well, and I've got the gain on the line set down to 76, so it's quite a beefy thing. And I've moved it into the garage, and if I find the right picture, which I've got, and the PA being in the garage now drives that very thick coax up to the dish, and the PA that was originally behind the dish is now gone. This is a picture I took about a week or two ago, and if I go to the front of the dish, that's the front of the dish. Ignore the filters because they've gone now. Ignore the ferrites that you see sticking down there. And another close-up of the dish. The cover is a food container from InXS, so the lid is fixed, and the body you can just unclip and get access to the LMB, and it works really well. Okay, back up to here, and that's my over, and I'll pass it on to whoever's next from G0DQH.
Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Mike. I'm getting ahead of myself there. My apologies. I'll take my over and then pass it around to you, Mike. Sorry, I was wondering if Paul was ready, and I totally forgot about you. Right, activity weekend. David M0YDH is looking for people to work him from Longmynd on Saturday. He's got a few takers for Sunday, but looking for people on Saturday. So please try and make the effort on that. You should all now have your CQTV if you take the printed copy. That should have arrived with you by now. Really pleased to see that out, and thanks very much to Frank for doing so, all the effort on that. Start of the week I was busy doing a Portstown release that you put VLC using FFmpeg as the decoder, as the primary player, and it seems to have made a real big difference, really good difference. And that's on Portsdown Buster 2020. And the rest of the week has been taken up with the RIDE receiver, and you can see that here. If I use the remote control, I can bring up the menu, I can check the frequency and change the frequency, I can change the symbol rate, and there's a few other things on the menu there. Still needs some development, but Tim has done a really good job on that. But the job of the day, the thing works on remote controls, and of course remote controls have all different codes. So I've been going through 1 million remote controls and making a file for each. The trouble is, I bet none of you, when you build RIDE, will have any of these remote controls, but at least we've got a start. We're looking at a application to actually mean that you can use any remote control with it. I've managed to program about 3/4 of those. There's a few that aren't compatible, but that's today's activity. It's out for a little bit of testing at the moment, and we're looking at general release probably in a couple of weeks' time. But as you can see, let's just get rid of the menu item there. Working well. That's on a full HD display. It's now at the stage where you build the SD card, leave it to build like you would a Portsdown, and when you come back it's a working receiver, and you turn it on and it's on the beacon, on the QO-100 beacon frequency at the moment, and then you can adjust the frequencies you want. And you can see that one there has been running unattended since the start of the net with everybody on it. John, nice pictures. Yep, good to see everybody using Linux. Windows does seem to be causing people a lot of problems. I'm still using, for this transmission, the Jetson build I did 9 months ago. Not touched. It's connected to the network, not updated, but it just works. And for the call sign you saw earlier, that was a standard Portsdown, the test card you saw earlier. I think that's about it. Let's give Mike G0MJW his turn. My apologies, Mike. Over to you, and then it will be Paul M0EYT if he's there. G8GKQ.
Okay. Oops, perhaps that's a little bit too much power. Drop it down a couple. G0MJW. Well, the first thing to show is this. And I've also got to mute myself. This is it's not exactly the best picture, is it? But this is the new software from Dave that's running flawlessly. Well, I would say flawlessly, but the sound doesn't seem to be flawless on the Portsdown. And it works with H.265 as well, so it's been really good. So very, very, very impressed with that. So well done, Dave. Good that you got that working. And I think we should start going to H.265 now, because I can do it much more reliably. Mind you, that's possibly a selfish view of the world, but it's a lot better for me to do H.265, and I don't know why. But there we go. Let's turn on some lights to make the picture a little bit better. I haven't really got anything to show. I can't remember if I showed you this last week, so let's get the camera out and see. Did I show everyone that? Probably. Anyway, if I didn't, it's not a USB power supply this time, but it's a buck boost converter, so pretty much any input voltage and any output voltage between 0 and 30 volts which I think will be quite useful when run off LiPo cells or something like that, 18650s or whatever, because it'll keep a constant voltage. As everyone can see, I'm running very high power today, and that's because I think something's got in the way of the dish trees and leaves and things. Anyway, I don't want to have a very long over because I think we've got quite a few people waiting, so I'll pass it round, and I might come back in 265 next time, see how many people can receive it. G0MJW.
Okay then, I've got to find where the mute is on this. Okay, I'll just use the slider. There we go. Right, okay, well, I'm using the latest ports down. Actually, not the latest, I suppose, strictly speaking. But not the Langston version, but the latest standard one. Which Dave has... I thought I'd just as well try it for the as we've done the update. So that's very good. Using the Raspberry Pi camera, and I've attached one of these little dongles for the audio. That seems to work without any issues that I sometimes get with the Logitech camera and some other arrangement. So I'm just using the little standard Raspberry Pi camera today. I have got one of the bigger ones, but that's attached to a different port stand. But this is the one I'm mainly using. Been playing this week with the IPTS. That works extremely well, actually. I could have done that actually today. That might have been better. I've got it working on vMix by following the instructions on the wiki. To get it working on OBS looked like a more complex arrangement, so I've shied away from that to start with. I prefer. I'm moving towards OBS now because it's not limited. I like vMix, but the license I've got for it, which is the standard HD one, limits my inputs severely, and it's not really enough for the things we want to do. So, and the license is too expensive for the other arrangement. That's if it had been like some sensible price rather than a commercial sort of figure, then I would have probably paid for a license. But the one for the HD is not too expensive, so I did that, and that works fine. So today we're just using box standard ports down Lime in the little box with this is the one that's got the camera built in, so no problems with that. I'm waiting to try the ride project. I have various things here. I have a Raspberry Pi 4. This happens to be the 4 GB one because it's the only one that's spare at the minute. The 2 GB is in my Langston. So, and I've purchased this little HDMI adapter lead because it's got this tiny little HDMI, a micro HDMI, I think it's called. So I've got that, so we get a picture, and then we're going to use. I'm going to make up a little board with a bit of air board with some switches on. They'll be going on. I'm hoping that where's that thing I prepared earlier? There it is. I'm hoping that one of the remotes might look something like this. This is the one. This is the standard one for the receivers that SQ use. If the commands are the same as this, it will be extremely useful for grafting a ride to SQ, because we use several of the infrared commands. What we do is we send DTMF on 2 meters and other ways, and that sends infrared commands to the receivers, which are the same commands as this. We don't use this remote, but the commands are the same as this, although I can teach it other commands, obviously. So that's that. We've got a little. I haven't gone quite as big as Dave, but I have got a
I have got this 10.1. This is actually a TFT for the front of SQ actually. So I've got a spare one, so so I just want to try it. I shall test it on the ride. Okay then, that's probably enough. I think it sounds like there's a few on, so I better not stay on too long. But hopefully that was a successful transmission. It looks like the positions of the frequency positions have moved. I normally go bottom right to get here, but I had to go top right this time. nearly threw me. But there we go. Okay then. Who is it? Oh, M0EYT is on next. So
Okay, right. Yeah, it looks like there's data going out, and it looks like a 333 killer symbol in width, so I must have got the right setting, and it's in the right place. Hello, right. Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet because I'm not. I've got no receive, so I don't know what anybody else has been saying. Receive is down at the moment because I've just moved one of the dishes. I've got a 1.2 metre offset that was on a pole that was basically too close to where the 3 metre transmit antenna is, and it was shadowing the edge of the 3 metre dish. So I've moved that, re-bolted down to the concrete, and I've moved the dish across. That meant the new dish is right in front of the old receive dish, so I had to dismantle that. There's no point leaving it there. So I've got a 1.2 metre dish on a pole, ready to roll. Just need to drop the LMBs on it and get the thing aligned. And then I should have receive again. But the transmit seems to be working. The Pluto issues I was getting, there were two of them. One of them was the well-known ground issue on the USB. So what was happening, if you get any noise across the ground, because there's an inductor between the main ground and the USB ground, you'd get a ground bounce. That would be seen as a connection and disconnection of the USB device, and it would reset. I fixed that one ages ago, but it didn't fix the problem. What it seems to be, I was getting noise from one of these little cheap Chinese switching down converters. The little LM54 something or other chip, the ones you put 30 volts in and variable voltage out at about 3 amps. You know the things. They're about a 3/4 by a 2-inch printed circuit board. Everybody uses them for all sorts. I know that they give noise out. They're not particularly well filtered. And I've had this on VHF stuff where I've been getting noise out of them. And I've had sidebands plus or minus 30 odd kilohertz from carrier on 4 meters. This was I got caught out on, so I know that they're not the cleanest in the world. So I put some L's and C's on that. I beefed up with some extra capacitance anyway, but that obviously wasn't enough. So a bit of L, bit of C, and it seems fine. It's been pinging for days and days and days, and obviously it's still working because I can still see carrier. So fixed. So we need to remember that one. Dirty, horrible Chinese power supplies. Right, I'll pass it on round, and if any streaming is available on the BATC streamer for this for the transponder, let me know. If not, I'll just sit and watch the chat. Cheers.
Okay. Why am I not seeing my own signal? Reset that. Okay, we're there. That's good. Right. That's the view today. It's just started clearing out. It's been cloudy and dull all day. But the sun's starting to peek through, and there's a bit of blue sky there now. That's pretty good. No change with antennas. Everything's all the same. We were doing some tests on 77s last night, actually. Between myself and Terry G1LPS. And we finally kind of concluded that if we do any 77s up here, it has to be 500 kilosymbols or less, and on 436.5 or 437.5. So we're probably going to go with 437.5. I'll just see if I can bring the image up. Dropbox. Was that the one? I think that was the one. Right. Where is my desktop view? Desktop. That's it. Right, if I transition to that, then bring that up, does that appear on... Yeah. Let me just check what's actually coming through here. Right. So, this signal here, this was on the TV contest in June, and that was Tony G4 CBW on 70 centimeters, which I think we took maybe an hour to make a QSO, and you can see it, but we have to filter off really quickly. So I'm looking into doing some filtering in kind of software domain rather than RF, as in down convert it to INQ, filter it, and then re-up convert it so that the mini tune can receive it. But you can then put some really sharp cut-off filters in to get rid of these pulses, because they seem to be the stuff that upsets it, and they still do even when they're out there. So yeah, that's something we were experiencing up here, so that's why I can't generally do 77s when I'm portable, even though signals were strong, as you can see. Right, let me just go to the camera. Right, so I'll try and make this fairly short. Lost video. Is it working now? It's okay here. Yeah, I'm seeing myself at the moment. Yeah, plan might work, okay. So that inside that box there is the 122 gig board from VK3CV. That's a little coupler block inside, which is basically that bit there. It mounts over the chip inside and waveguide out basically. So today I've made this little adapter. So that is the let me just bring this a bit closer, it'll focus a bit better. So that's the waveguide in. That bit goes down inside the coupler and it turns it into a flange. The 2mm waveguide, which is in the centre, is then tapered out to 4mm to mate up with the flan horn. So this drops inside here. So a nice little snug fit inside there. There's still a possibility of snapping it off on the end of the horn there, but that's going to attach onto there. Some M3 screws rather than these peculiar standard type threads that's on there. I'm not going into that. I'll just do metric, it's easier. So yeah, that basically mates up against there, and that should give us like 40 dB of gain. So that's the plan anyway. To get extra gain on the other end of the link. It does have a like PTFE type lens on the front. You can see that. You'll be able to see the patterning on it as well there. It's sort of Fresnel-like, but it's solid on the back, and it curves the opposite way as well. So that is the shape of it. But I did print last year a ABS version. It's flat on one side, and then well, basically a lens. That's all. I'll put this on, and 134 gigs. That was given like 30 plus dB of gain. Not far off what that was given. I think I was getting like 33 off this, but I think the match wasn't very good. So test with the flan horn first, and then I think I'll probably use this 3D printed one. The only thing is the focal distance is a bit long. I need to print another one which brings that in a bit, because it's quite hard to illuminate, as you would imagine. So yeah, quite a bit going on that. So there we are. Oh yeah, that was the back of the flan horn. So you can see it's a 4mm round waveguide port in there, and that was off the 50 odd gig microwave modules links. I think that's what they came off. So there we go. Okay, well, I think that's it. I could go into lots more detail, but we'll go back to that. It's a little bit more blue sky creeping in there. Right, so who's next? Round to Jim. Okay, G0DQH, M0DTS on BATC net.
Okay, just check that I've got audio. Yes, I have. Okay, good. I'm quite away from the dish, and you might be interested in how I control the PA in the garage, and I use this. If I can get it in the right place, there we are. I can't. There we go. I use this to switch the power on in the garage, and that controls a contactor, and that in turn switches the PA on. And the bias is switched on and off by a fob, which is that one. So it's very easy to operate from the shack. It works very well. If it didn't, I wouldn't be able to use it. So it works extremely well, and it saves me running down to the garage and switching the power on and whatever. And there is a lamp that comes on in the window of the garage door at the rear, so Maureen knows that I'm actually transmitting. So if I come back down here, if I can find it, that is, here we go. Oh, there's a view. There's a view of the shack. And there's nothing much else I can add really tonight. And the mini tunes to the left behind that 2-meter walkie-talkie, and the port stone is just right of centre between the monitor and the Windows 10 PC. So that's where I spend most of my time these days. At least Maureen knows where I am. Okie doke. That's it from me this evening. I'm back at work, by the way. I started back on Monday part-time, so I'm back in again tomorrow for a couple of hours, and then the weekends hours, of course. Okay, very good evening to everyone, and I'm not sure who it is that's next on the list, but no doubt you'll sort that one out. From DQH.
There again. Just turn some audio down. Right. Sorry about earlier. I was on the phone. Well, I was on WhatsApp with a good friend of mine, G7EWS. We grew up together in London many moons ago, and we played radio for quite a bit on CB and various other bits and pieces. we were the ones that we had a B-40, an old submarine piece of kit that we used to share between each other, and because of the weight of it we used to have to wheel it along on our skateboard, etc. Anyway, we were just chatting, so I've hopefully convinced him that he needs to get himself a dish and start participating in this as well. So oh, sorry, am I not talking loud enough? Do apologise. Yeah, so hopefully we've got someone else there who's going to be converted and come up on TV as well. Not really got much else to add really. So everything seems to be working quite well. Hopefully. I know I've got to sort out a few other bits and pieces. I know I've got to sort out the dish. I know I've got to sort out the power level, and I know I've got to sort out the audio levels, etc. But we're getting there. It's hopefully going to work still, at least till the weekend, so we can use it over the weekend. With that, I'll pass it around to who was next? G0AZQ to take it, I guess. G7JTT.
Well, it looks like I'm on, so I'll say good evening to one and all, and put my glasses on so I can see what's going on. So I see that we're there, and as you can see I've got my favourite t-shirt on, which tells me that I definitely need recharging. So there we go. Hope that raised a laugh somewhere along the line. Right, to Dave, expect a camera in the post probably Monday or Tuesday. It's boxed up and all ready to go. It didn't get the expectation on the eBay, so it developed a problem with the an intermittent problem with the USB cable. That was a shame, wasn't it? And so see if you can repair the USB cable, HI, in case anybody's listening. And I've still got this problem as far as test card programming is concerned. I don't know whether any of you have watched the CQDA TV version 82, and Jean G3RFL has put a unit up there which writes to a PIC chip, and I have it here on my left hand side, and it is working to a monitor, so we'll just pick up the camera and hope that we don't pull the cables out. That is the result that you get on the screen, and here, oh, cable's not long enough, and there is the unit, which is a PIC chip and programmed through one of those MP Lab. In case you're wondering what the CDG.VMC is, the MC is one of the connections that goes, the V is volts, G is ground, and D and C is the programming on online, or in program should I call it, programming. Let's put this camera back where it belongs, and am I still on? Yes. Okay, that screen's gone blank. That's not because I pulled a cable out, it's because it's timed out with the wonderful Windows. I'll sort that out. So as I say, if anybody's got any information as to how to convert bitmap or JPEG files to hex files so that they can be programmed into the PIC, or even programmed into the old situation with the EEPROMs, would be much appreciated. So nothing else really to say. Sorted out the problem, I think, as far as the damp was concerned in the conservatory, and I had the guy who put the roof on it a few months ago, and so the idea is now that we get a water butt so that the water doesn't drain down the side of the conservatory and put damp patches on the wall. So that's all I've got to say, and I do believe, according to my list here, it's over to G. Oh, just a quickie to Colin, G4KLB, if you're still on there, Colin. Thank you very much for passing that information on to John over in Ringwood. And I see that we've got another guy who is not very far away in Wimborne. That used to be, I used to live in Westmoors, and but moved from there many years ago and moved up to Yorkshire. In fact, I moved from Yorkshire in 1963 down to Dorset, to Westmoors. So there we go, we all get older. And do we get wiser? I don't think so, although we do say that that could be the situation. Okay, I'll pass it over, as I say, to G0MJW and see what you've got to say, Mike. Cheers for now. G0AZQ, off and clear. Good God, it worked. G0AZQ, off and clear.
Right, I've made it. I think. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, what was I going to do? Let's make me a bit wider, shall we? Oh, there we go. Talk about problems. I don't know quite what happened. All the tests seem to work fine until you come to do things. And let's turn that down over there because the delay will drive me insane. For some reason, vMix crashed, which is doing the UDP side of things, the streaming, and then everything went slow. The last crash was John G7 JTT. It didn't like him and crashed vMix, so I had to restart it. It seems as if I close the stream that's in vMix and open up a fresh one in between transmissions, they're okay. Some people it seems to be fine. It transfers across. Don't know. I'm not an expert at all, but I've lost some of my hair during this session. But yeah, I've learnt a lot. Should have tested things a couple of weeks prior, I think. But I don't know. Yeah, it seems to be going out. It seems to like my transmission anyway. And it was perfect when I tried it with Dave about, I don't know, a number of days ago. And I've been testing it during the day, etc. Not actually streaming it, but it's been vMix has been grabbing everything that came up quite happily. Well, scan and tune and then into vMix, but don't know. Anyway, I'm starting to waffle, but I did make the net anyway, so I'll pass it back to whoever's going to take it. I might even be able to put up a test card. Let's try a test card, shall we?
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, and thanks very much for doing the streaming. I know it's not easy. Noel will be back next week, but perhaps give it another try the week after if you're available. I think he's away again then. Noel's probably trying to watch this from a caravan in a muddy field in Norfolk. Right, I forgot to comment on a number of things last time. John, 23 SEMS. Okay, I will see which day I can get out and try and take 23 SEMS with me. Be good to try and get a portable contact with you. The aerials on the roof there look good, Rob. Be nice to have an easier setup for that. Great to be able to do the metalwork like that. For Colin, we can set the remote codes to be exactly what you want, but hopefully if you've got, in the interim, I know you've got some software to test, if you've got one of these things, let's put that in front of the camera, that's the one with the 12 volt supply on the back. Ignore the mains socket because that's not usual. The 12 volt input on the back. If you've got the remote to that, you should be able to select it in the software, but we can program it to do anything. And okay on the C910, Tony. Yeah, I'll give that a try when it arrives. Yeah, I'm not sure whether the remotes, Colin, are different for the ones with 12 volt supply and ones that haven't got 12 volt supply, because I know they're fairly different physically inside, but anyway, we'll see. I'm sure you can sort it out. Anything else there? We seem to have lost Paul M0EYT, but let's put it round to Mike, G0MJW with the trees in front of his dish from G8GKQ.
Okay. This will probably confuse everybody, but there you go. It certainly confused the ports down, but needs a button press and it recovers. Let me show a picture of the various things. Still working around with this rather fine device. Wondering what to do next. But, I must try it actually on one of the nets. I'm just waiting to find out when it's going to be ready to be used for DATV in anger on transmit and receive, and all the benefits that are in the old one, or in the old one. Well, 2020 ports down are built into this one. But very good. Right. So back to a picture of me. Not much else to add, I think. So I will quickly pass it round. Hope everybody has a very good week. I don't know what I will be doing in the contest. I'll probably be on from home as I was last time. Might even have 77s working properly this time. So anyone up in the Midlands who beams this way and are well sighted, maybe there's a chance that I might receive them. Anyone to the south of me, basically forget it. Right, that's enough. G0 Mike Juliet Whiskey.
Okay, I'll just have to reset the ports down. Somebody was using H.265, I don't know who that was. Anyway, good evening. Okay, yeah, I probably could set this to 16:9. It's come out alright on my mini tune there anyway, so no problems. I'll just check I've actually got audio. Yeah, it seems alright here anyway. So yeah, that's good to hear about the remotes, Davey. I think they're the same. Well, I use the same remote for all of them. I've got the ones with and without the 12 volts on the back. One lot of the ones with the 12 volts on the back have got the old software, which is the one you want. That's the one that works. And the other ones have got a slightly newer software, and that they're not so good for our uses, but they're not usable. For repeater use, they'll be alright for standalone, but they're no good for repeaters, unfortunately. But unfortunately, I've got enough. In fact, you might be able to see them. No, you can't really, can you? They're in amongst that pile there. That's SQ's receivers. There's 4 of those receivers and an analog receiver on the top. And there's another one just out of it's actually still in shot actually, but you won't be able to make that out from that distance. That is SQ as it stands. A big pile of wires on the bench, but but it is fully operational. Oh, I've got the rotator still on actually. We've been getting signals in today from G8BDF, has been on. He's a regular on GB3SQ, and John over there in Wimborne as well. Got a signal in today, so that's very good. We've also got Ian in Ringwood, so that's it's quite good, really. It's quite good, really. We haven't got many people elsewhere, mind, but we have got them there. So they're all waiting for me to get on and build this repeater, but I keep getting sidetracked with with other projects. That's the snag. So I've had something through the post today, actually. I'll do this. I won't spend too long, but a little amplifier from I can't see what I'm looking at, from AMSAT UK, comes with a little heatsink, little driver stage. So I'll give that a go. I've been using some other ones, and they gave me a really nasty spike in the sort of at the carrier frequency. Really bad it was, and so I shied away from them. So I'll try one of these little chaps and see how we go with that. I might have been overdriving it possibly, but I don't think so, because I had a 30 dB variable attenuator in line with it, so it shouldn't have done that, really. Okay, the ride. Oh, right. Okay, very good. Right. Okay, that's fine. You didn't even notice the H.265. Sorry, he nearly got away with it, didn't he? He nearly got away with it. There's always someone who'll squeal. So, but I've actually been spending a bit of time doing the H.265 with the Pluto, using the graphics card. I've got the graphics card. I just as well make use of it, I thought, and that works extremely well. I can't get it to do H.264 quite as well. I don't know why, but it certainly works well on H.265. So for H.264, I'm using the ports down, and in any case, that's a lot easier. And for changing frequencies and inputs and everything, it's a lot easier. So I've been doing the input from vMix. I've had mine running incidentally for 3 hours on transmit, and it didn't fall over at all. So I was very pleased with that. The OBS looked a bit daunting, to be fair. I know John G7JTT's got the information for that, but it looked like you need a file here and a file there, and I thought it's not quite as straightforward as using vMix, where you just have an FFmpeg thing running, and it's all pretty straightforward, really. It seems to work pretty well, and that worked perfectly into the ports down. That's a lot better. I can see other people are using it as well than just having, say, this camera. Particularly this camera here, which is built into the transmitter, seemed like a good idea at the time. Until you want to move it about, but you can sort of you can do a little bit, really, but it's not that easy. No, I can't get there. I was going to show my switching arrangement. I see I see the fancy controls. What I've got is 3 switches here. One turns the mains onto the shed. It's a low voltage wire down to a mains relay in the shed. Turns that on, gets its 12 volts from here, actually. So just 12 volts goes down the garden, and then 2 other switches for for both biases: a driver bias, which is local up in the shack here, and the main PA bias, which is just on a relay, operated from here. So that's because I'm running LDF 450 all the way. It didn't take much to run another little cable alongside it. so that was okay. Right, that's enough from me. So 7 threes, and I nearly forgot tonight. I would have been prepared with me vMix, but we'll give that a go another week. I think that'll be fine. So G4KLB, I can't put a test card on. I'm used to putting a test card on, but I'm using the Raspberry Pi camera, so we won't.
Okay, I was just going to close the net, but I've just seen Tony saying he wants a brief transmission, but I will do that. Put it over to Tony after this. So thanks everybody for coming on. Seem to have a few people in and out tonight, and Windows problems with H.264. We'll have to consider whether allowing mixed H.264 or H.265 is too much of an issue. I'll perhaps post something on the forum if people can come back with votes on that, whether it would cause some problems going 264, 265, because those without full ports downs seem to be having trouble with the basic technology. Right, so Tony and John to take it for final overs. I won't transmit again, but round to Tony G0AZQ next, and if Tony, if you can pass it on to John G7JTT, and then we'll close the net. But final words, please try and get on the air this weekend on the activity weekend, and see you here next week, same time, same place, G8GKQ.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Just a brief. What everybody must go out and. Let me just kill this sound. And everybody must go out on the internet and buy one of these. Now, you might remember from the brief old days when we used to do this and iron our shirts and make things okay. But if you turn it upside down and get the temperature right, it's absolutely brilliant for getting the soldering right on these surface mount bits and pieces. Not surface mount where there's lots of other components about, but certainly I did see something, I think it was from Colin, who said that he'd got the unit from the ATV site. I've got the sound coming from somewhere else. And so that is the most brilliant thing that you can get. But don't get a steam iron. You don't need a steam iron. You just need one of these off eBay. And they even come with a bit of flex and a plug. And they're only 10 quid. Okay, I'll pass it over then to Mike, G0MJW, G0AZQ. Cheers all.
I've just, on the comment that was made earlier, I've just gone back to non-Pacific firmware, but now I can't see myself, which is a shame. So why am I not seeing myself now? Right, no, I can see me, can you? Yeah, I can't see myself for some reason now. Anyway, I just wanted to check, was the audio any good? I realised I'd see the microphone all the way down at all. I've also just gone back to the standard firmware, just to see if it made any difference at all. So that was it really. Not sure why I'm not seeing myself, but that's life. Okay, good night all, G7JTT.